Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the regularly scheduled Downtown Development Authority meeting for March 17th, 2021. Madam Secretary, the roll, please.
And please remember to state where you are for the meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Lisa Germani Williams, Tanya Karsten.
Here, Rochester Hills.
Bob Bloomingdale. Chris Johnson. Marilyn Trent.
Here, Rochester.
Eric Diana.
Here, Rochester, Michigan.
Tony LaPuma.
Here, Oakland Township.
Paul Haig. Mayor Bixson.
Here, Rochester.
Chairman Giovanelli.
Here, Rochester, Michigan.
Ann Peterson is not here.
No.
I'm sorry. Ann Peterson. Christy Terraro.
Here.
Don Sinkwitz.
Here, Rochester.
There is a quorum.
Fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for your attendance this evening. Much appreciated. We have completed the initial tough part of the meeting of roll call, and now we can get to the fun part. We have approval of meeting minutes for February 17th, 2021, the regular DDA meeting from last month, plus the informational meeting. Is there any questions in regards to the meeting minutes, or is there a motion in our future for that?
So moved.
Motion by the mayor.
I'll second it.
Support by LaPuma. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary.
Tanya Karsten.
Yes.
Tony LaPuma.
Yes.
Eric Diana.
Yes.
Marilyn Trent.
Yes.
Mayor Bixson.
Yes.
Chairman Giovanelli.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. Fantastic. Okay, very good. Audience comments. We barely have a quorum, so I don't see anybody else here besides that. So if there's anybody that's got phone a friend or anybody text questions, send them to the one of us, and we'll certainly get them on. Liaison reports. Ann Peterson is not here. Mr. Mayor, if
So
your freestyle.
As I said, the meetings are going to have to be back at City Hall. So Blaine and I are going to meet on Friday to, talk about the best way to make it safe for everybody. And we'll be sending out, directions. I assume everyone's going to have to wear a mask, and I think we may be at the tables, like kind of old city council, like work session kind of things, but we're gonna see, but we're gonna try to keep everybody as safe as possible. We had the final vote on Riverwalk, that their agreement, that we building agreement that we signed with them, but so that passed. So now that is done. Hopefully they will build. We're hearing things that the costs are so high that people are not building right now, but they say they're going to build, so that's good. And I think those were the two highlights.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Yeah, in terms of the meeting, so the long and short of it is that as the mayor was stating probably before the meeting, we were sort of talking about it, but the Lansing has passed, or has not passed, the extension into June. So it expires, the ability to do Zoom meetings expires at the end of this month. So the next regularly scheduled GDA meeting in April will be at City Hall. So like the mayor said, he and the city manager are going to come up with the strategy of how that's going to lay out. So don't have anything. We'll just take your guys' lead. And as soon as we hear on that, we'll communicate it out to the rest of the board. So thank you for that. And as they say, we need to stick and move. And if that's what Lansing says, that's what we're going to do. So that's
what Lansing says. Mr. Tisdale called me today and told me.
Did he? Oh, dear.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. That's that. Chamber of Commerce, Marilyn Trent.
Yes, on February 5th, Mayor Bixson and I and Elena Campbell and others cut the ribbon, or we're at the ribbon cutting, welcoming Tide Cleaners. They are green cleaners, and we welcome them to downtown Rochester. They're officially open. Yep.
Yay.
And yesterday, the chamber board voted to sign on to support the coalition of chambers and other industry associations, calling upon the governor to allow a full reopening of Michigan businesses following the safety protocols as outlined by OSHA and the attached. And it's not any attachment of yours, but it wasn't ours. Not to be confused with Open Michigan. This is Reopen Michigan Safely. And that is that.
Got it. Well, everybody's of the same mindset. It is time to open up and do so as safely as possible, but as quickly as possible, because over a year of this stuff is worn on the most patient of us. I'll venture just to guess. So thank you for that update.
Yep.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Historical Commission, Mr. Sienkiewicz.
There's no new activities to report on the Historical Commission this month. However, Bruce McGregor, who is a member of the Heritage Day Festival team and associated with the Lions Club, contacted me. And he noticed the summertime activities being preliminary planned by the DDA. Bruce works with the Lions Club in helping them organize the various car shows in Rochester. That would be the one at the Heritage Festival, which unfortunately we canceled. But there's also the Rock and Rods car show that's normally held in August. And what he was interested in is how is the DDA addressing that and handling the approval process for some activities. I contacted Christy, and she kindly informed me that the DDA talks with Chief Steve and gets all the information to him, which also includes the agreement that any restrictions that would be in place have to be followed. So I talked to Rock and Rods, or I shouldn't say Rock and Rods, but Bruce and Alliance Club, and encouraged them to talk to Chief Steve, which apparently they did. They got the paperwork filled out. And from my understanding, that'll be presented at the March 22nd City Council meeting for approval or input anyways. So hopefully that's another small step in becoming normal this year.
Right. It's a game of inches, Don, a game of inches. I think, Chris, you correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as DDA goes, we're planning for the best and then just going to react just like we did last year as, things come up. Is that a fair assessment?
Yes, our new friend is the asterisk that says subject to change. So we are attempting everything in working with the police chief. Luckily for us, our bigger events don't happen until later in the summer. So Farmers Market, we already know how to run that with restrictions. We did that all last year. So that's our first one off the blocks. So then we really don't have to worry about anything until we get to junk in the trunk, which is later in June. And so we're just keeping in touch with Steve, and we're always on top of whatever the guidelines are. And luckily all of our events, for the most part for the summer, everything's outdoors. So that helps too. So we'll just keep everybody posted, but yeah, it's our intent to attempt everything.
Got it. So it sounds like everybody's on the same page, and as it should go without saying, but if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to the administration or Christy with respect to downtown activities. And I think she'll just circle you back to the chief anyway. So I'll stop at Chief Steve. Not that he has any pressure, but it's good to be the chief, and bad to be the chief, I suppose, at this point, because he has to be the fun buster. But somebody's got to be the adult in the room. So he's very good at that. So we'll let him do that. Principal Shopping District, Paul Haig. Welcome, Mr. Haig. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, hello. Okay. Well, we talked about the budget, and I'm sorry I'm coming in late. I was actually talking to my wife, and I forgot about the meeting for a minute. So I apologize. Okay. And we came up with a report for the PSD, and we kind of came up with the things were good. We had to be careful about where we're spending our money. We talked about front porch. Christy, would you help me with this a little bit tonight?
Happy to. So just like DDA's doing tonight, PSD last week reviewed their budget. Again, they're attempting everything that they would normally have on their slate. In addition to that, the other things that they're working on right now are bringing back the Thursday night market concept that we did have last year. Actually, maybe relocating it closer into the core. since all the businesses are open now. So putting it maybe possibly on 4th Street. So we did a preliminary reach out to last year's vendors to see who would be interested in returning. We got a very positive response from that. So we're casting a little bit wider net, putting together a proposal to take to PSD, and if it's found favorable there, then moving it up to council for their consideration and doing something this summer. In addition to that, for some of the things that we did last year that were popular, that we did them just because we couldn't do anything else, but people really enjoyed them. So also included in the budget that's going to council on Monday is bringing back the magical mural tour that we did last September, which everyone seemed to enjoy. The Taste of Fall promotion, which everyone also seemed to enjoy. It was really great for the restaurants. We got a ton of coverage off of it. And it really didn't cost that much to the PSD to do it. And also we're working on something that you'll be hearing about for this June. So we had to put it into the budget for next year as well, doing a Love Local month. So we're going to have elements of history, shopping, dining, all kinds of fun stuff. And we're also working on a special disposable camera event called Rochester No Filter that you'll be hearing some more stuff about. That was one of our ideas from last year that we left in the quiver, but we really wanted to do something with. So it's coming out this year. So you'll be hearing more about that. So that's included in the budget. And then last but not least, one of the other things that promotions was interested in doing, God help us all, is a public art project. It's much like the sheep, but smaller. Smaller in terms of size, but not in terms of the item. So we are working on what we are calling tentatively the Frosty Frolic, which would be 12 5-foot snowmen that would be designed by local artists, sponsored by local businesses, and displayed in the windows during the holiday season. So we're working on that right now. We rolled that idea out at PSD. Paul Haig already stepped up to sponsor one since we're only going to have 12 of them. So
It's only $2,000.
yes, they're going to be $2,000 a piece. Nothing, you know. But the idea is, you know, to have another element to add to the Big Bright Light Show, something interesting. You know how every time we do something with art, people really respond to it. It's been a while since we've done public art projects. It'll be a little different because being the winter months, we can't leave these things outside because of shoveling, salting, like all those kinds of things. So we're working through that program. It'd be very similar to the sheep, but on a micro level, it'd be a total of 12 because 12 days of Christmas, 12 snowmen, it works, that kind of thing. So those are things that are going forward to council within the budget. So we're still at PSD trying to balance between regular events that we do and then more at your own pace kind of events for those people that we think it's gonna be a transition to get everybody comfortable again. So that's pretty much it.
One more thing on that Frosty Snowman. We're not going to have any logos. We're not going to have anything like that. It has to be something that doesn't specifically say one business.
Right. Yeah, it's just same. Some of the things that we do, like with deck art or anything else, is always no logos, no politics, no. There's a whole laundry list of things, and we've had to expand it because some people just decide to push us and push the limits. And yeah. Like if you have to look, what we said to people is like, if you are calling to ask us if something's appropriate, it's not. You already know it isn't because that's why you're calling us. So just so don't call, just skip. just don't ask because it's just not going to work.
It's moderately sketchy. We're not interested.
That's right. It's already sketchy. Stop calling.
Right.
So yes, so that's all going to go to council. But no new big events, like the Frosty Frolic. That's a pay for itself kind of event. Same thing. A lot of these are self-funded because obviously PSD is on a fixed budget because their PSD was just renewed 2 years ago. So anything new they want to do is based on fundraising. So they're trying to do things that pay for themselves.
So this Monday, and we'll get to the budget next, but so PSD and DDA will be going before council at the same time. So we'll be talking about this. At least in the grand scheme of things, there's going to be a great deal of pressure placed upon the PSD event-wise to sort of help us come out of the funk, right? So so this is going to be a big year for the PSD, and asterisks notwithstanding, I'm glad to see that that everybody's taking this to heart and going at it with full force. That's awesome. So thank you for that update. I appreciate it. Down to the general business agenda. The budget review. So as luck would have it, everybody on this meeting was either part of the subcommittee of budget or executive committee, except Ann just popped in. So now she's the only one who hasn't been involved with the budget either as executive or in subcommittee. So
he's coming too. So Bob will be
okay,
right.
very good. All right, so I'll talk slow. No, first thing, I really want to thank Eric and Tanya and Marilyn for, participating as members of the budget subcommittee. We did meet with Anthony. And...
Oh, I'm not even done yet. I have to get now.
Let's see, give her mute. We did meet with Anthony and Marcy and administration and Christy, and went over line by line through the budget. Much of the budget is not, there wasn't a ton of decisions to make because there really just wasn't a ton of money to cast away. But can I take control of this, Christy, or can you allow me? Oh, you're on mute.
Yep, saw that. I was looking at my buttons here. Okay, yeah, you should. Yep, you should be able to.
So what do I do here? So
just at the bottom of the share screen, it should just go.
Oh, there it is.
Yep.
So Acrobat Pro. And this is coming right from your packet. So hopefully, I gotta click share. There we go.
There you go.
All right, so budget just came up. I would assume this is directly out of the packet. I'm just putting it on the screen for everybody's, that may be watching and recorded. So the gray area, no pun intended, is the current budget for 2021-22. So our fiscal, of course, is a 6/30 year end. So right now we're budgeting for the period 7/1/2021 through 6/30/2022. So half the summer, if you will, is on last year's budget or the current year's budget, and half this, and then it goes into the next year. So in looking at the 2 years layered over the top of each other, the top part here is the revenues. Our projected 2021 revenue is just under $1.8 million at $1.799 million. The lion's share is coming from property taxes and with some grants and whatnot. And there is an administrative cross charge that we do bill back the city for things that the DDA does. And then as you're going to see in a minute, we more than reciprocate going the other direction on the expense side. So anyway, long story long, we had about $1.8 million in budget for this last year. We're projecting a slightly less this year at 1.75. So down about $50,000 year over year top line revenue. Just timing, and the DDA, unlike the city or other municipalities, does not typically get federal grant funding, such as what was just passed in Washington last week, I guess it was. But anyway, so revenue-wise, we're down a little bit year over year, but not significantly down. In terms of expenses, the DDA's budget is carved into two sections, one of which is sort of operational, and the other half is infrastructure. So last year, if you recall, every year we do a contractual services payment. This is to the PSD for the Big Bright Light Show. So that is continuing. If we killed Santa Claus, we would never hear the end of it. So that is going to be refunded this year. But last year we had $446,000 in that line item, because that was not only the 150, but that was also the PSD assessment that we paid for last year. So that's where that came out of. We're not doing that this year. In terms of what I'll call overhead, business overhead, office overhead, there really wasn't much of a change year over year. Salaries are up very, very slightly, and this is city COLA stuff, so there's not really anything that we can do about that. The rest of sort of the operational costs were not significantly up year over year. In fact, there was a net decrease in retirement contribution year over year. And Anthony told me about what that was, and it's escaping me for the moment. But it's all based on funding, and we're told by the finance department what that number's got to be. So
the city's fully funding the pension program.
Yes, okay, that's what it was. And then the administrative cost charge once again. So the end of the day, not a huge increase year over year in terms of spend. Although you'll see things that may stick out, like this 110 grand. Remember that we kicked $100,000 in as soon as COVID lit up last year for COVID response. And that's why that number is up year over year. We're back down. We were at 10 grand and then we're at 10 grand again this year. So long story short, the operational part of the budget really has not seen a significant increase year over year. But because of COVID, it's sort of clipped our wings as to a free cash flow available for other projects. I will say that I've been assured that the dumpster number is right. I'm fingers crossed, toes crossed, everything crossed that we're going to get another budget amendment for that. But we got 122 in for the dumpsters, and I'm optimistic that that's going to stay true. So anyway, get down to this section down here is where we get into sort of the what's left, right? So at the end of the day, after all of our commitments on the operational side, which year over year really have not significantly changed if you remove the one-time COVIDs, it's in fact lower over last year just from the not paying the PSD assessment, but also having that sort of free cash flow that we're responsible to fund capital improvements in the district. So the city has undergone a 5-year capital plan, or even longer, but there's the DDA has commitments every single year for different its share of different projects in the city. And this year we have 373,156 that's required. So this is required under that project. So that comes off the top automatically. We agreed, we talked about this before, but this $162,000 is the money that the DDA committed to transfer to the auto parking fund for the new meters to go to 5G. That's what that number is. We have historically budgeted $250,000 a year for streetlights, the continuing streetlight replacement program. So we're fully funding that this year. And how close are we to being, are we just going to get to the end and start over again because they're aging as we go? It feels like it's just going to keep going forever.
No, it does feel like it's forever. I think I'll do the numbers, but I think we probably have about another 3 years and then we'll be done. We finished this last round. All the hook and bells are done. So now we're just down to acorns and there are a ton of them.
Yeah, I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're actually doing the ones in our subdivision. They put the LEDs in and it's like the surface of the sun. It's crazy. So anyway, so these numbers are committed from the city. So this 373 is construction projects. The 162 is our commitment to the parking fund for the meters. The 250 is the lights, and we've done that literally every single year I've been on council, or when I was on council, and it's kind of continued on. So that number's the same. Sidewalk reconstruction, if you remember, we had talked about a much more I won't say grandiose, but a much more larger scale project to do sidewalks. And we decided to delay that and just do the minimum this year. So we put 31 grand in. That's what the number that we were told would be the absolute minimum to sort of keep things going. So that's what that is done there. Capital assets, major and minor. I can't remember what this one was for.
This is all of the lawn cutting, tree trimming,
Oh, yeah.
plantings, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was 144 2 years ago, 171 last year, 150 the current budget, so it's consistent within the budgeted dollar amount. So really, at the end of the day, what that left us with is so we have $1.75 million coming in, and we got $1.75 million going out. So this is a balanced budget. What we did do is we had about $100,000 left over after all those adjustments. And we just put that to the COVID-19 response. It may not even be enough if, we have to pay for, I could just see all kinds of requests coming in, and I'm sure that we just don't know. So the year of the asterisk continues, but that $100,000 is placed in there for COVID response. And that could be anything from, more platforms to additional infrastructure to whatever. I mean, anything you can name, but it's going to be sort of infrastructure based. So last year we spent, way more than that. So hopefully we won't be going to council for a budget amendment, but I can't imagine where we're going to take the money from. But long story long is we do have a balanced budget. We don't have a lot of options. The one thing we did not do this year was fund the front porch project. We're going to wait at least another year on that one. We felt that it was best to, sort of, while it's important, and I think to a person, we all want to see that continue to get back to where we were, because that was really a kick in the gut to take that money away from that particular project. This year, we're not going to put money aside for it, and we'll address it in the next budget year. So at the end of the day, after everything's all said and done, we've got a balanced budget. As much as we're able to, we're putting money into capital. So all of these items here, I only want the gray area, but that is all the capital investment in the district. That'll leave us an ending fund balance of about $500,000. We were told by Anthony that the attorneys have spun up and there's lots of tax tribunal stuff going on. And because business landowners are looking to reduce their assessment, a lot of stuff going on. So he has suggested that we set aside some money just in case for tax tribunal. And that's not part of the budget. It's just sort of a mental note that if settlements come through and we have to refund taxes, we've got money in fund balance to do that. So that leaves us the 500 grand in the fund balance. So that's that. So that's where we landed. We did make a couple tweaks at executive committee, and I've already communicated those tweaks to the budget subcommittee. And so anyway, with that, that is my sort of summary and report, and I will hit stop share. And Mr. Haig has his hand up.
Yeah, the 164, that's to pay for the upgrades on the electronics for the parking, right?
162, 164, that's correct.
Yeah, 162, 164. But that money goes to the city.
That's right.
The revenue goes to the city. And I'm just want to qualify, why is the DDA paying for something that the money goes directly to the city?
The short answer to your question is the parking fund is broke and these things need to get done. And there's nobody else to come after. This last year has been, horrific, as we all know, on the parking. Yeah. Now, I will say that the federal government has released just a torrent of helicopters shoving $100 bills off of the top to cities across the country, and I know we're due for some as well. So I'm optimistic that if there's some action that they look at the parking fund to try and make it right sized. That said, this was the DDA trying to be a good partner and saying, yep, we're in, we're glad to help. And that's what this is for. So,
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, Mr. Mayor, is that an accurate?
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, I mean, it's just a bad year. We're running a pretty big deficit in the parking thing, is like we talked about in the executive committee. So, I mean, I think that was the thought behind it. I think Ben put that very well.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Eric, Diana.
Mr. Chairman, obviously Rochester is getting like 1.3 million from the stimulus, but Oakland County is getting close to 244 million from Congress and Uncle Joe. So do we know what the county is going to do with the stimmy money? And do we have any sort of like mechanism to request funding? Apparently I said something to make them leave.
I can help.
No, you're fine. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
No, it got dark in here. I looked at myself. I was totally dark. I'm here. It's weird because I got my headphones on. So no, I wasn't reaching it.
Can we talk to Dave Coulter and be like, give us some of that stimmy money? Like, help us out.
Yeah, Madam Director.
I was gonna say, if you can wait till 6B, that is our county update, and then I can give you some information. I have some information. I don't have a ton, but I have some that I think would probably answer your questions.
So I apologize for jumping the gun.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, I just say,
Mr. Mayor, sorry.
yeah, I would just say, you talk about that 1.3 million. I mean, I think there's, fixing the parking deficit, I think is certainly, at least I'll speak for myself, is high on the list of where some of that money would go. So, we're trying to address that situation. We thought we were going to get like 2.4 and we were all excited. Now it's 1.3. So, but I guess since they're handing out free money, we'll take what we can get. But yeah, so that's definitely looking at the parking deficit is where some of that money's going. I'm going to guess.
Yeah, and Ben?
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, sorry I joined late. Another thing too, with that money that we're getting, that 1.3, it's only so much this year and so much next year. So that's another thing. But first I wanted to say, I really appreciate the DDA for the steps they've taken to maintain their budget with all the expenses and everything that have taken place, and you guys have been really prudent in doing that. And I'm very grateful for that. I do think I'm going to say this for myself is I wish that our council would go ahead and do that as well right now, because when they're looking at spending $1 million on renovations to the community house, and we're having all these other deficit problems, I have a problem with that. So I wanted to thank you all so much for really taking care of the needs of the city, and going without for your own improvements there to better our downtown. So thank you.
You bet. Yeah, I'm sorry, is there anybody else had, because I've got people that are not on camera, so I don't know if there's any hands raised. So just butt in. It's just us kids. I won't chase you down if you just butt in, but I can't tell if anybody else has a comment. At least from my perspective, we're always trying to be a good partner. And, with respect to parking, I think with last year, us taking on, funding the debt service and then doing this, I want to say we're probably in for, at least $500,000, if not more. It's fine. It is what it is. And we knew going in that that's what's going to be. But I remember telling Blaine when we did that, I said, don't forget about your friends at the DDA if you guys get some of that free money from the feds. So I will continue to reiterate that, don't forget about your friends at the DDA. So anyway, long story short is, so that is the budget. If there's no other questions, we do have to submit this, as was stated, to council on Monday. So we need to have a motion to either recommend forwarding this to council or not. And if that's the case, then let's get to what it'll take to get it so everybody's okay with it, and then we'll forward it to council. In my recap, there doesn't seem we beat this up pretty good, and there's not a whole lot of areas to beat up. We did what was prudent, and the only really sort of variable thing in the budget is the $100,000 for COVID. And between us people here, I will tell you it's probably not going to be enough, is my guess. But we'll be hopeful that it is, and we'll be able to march forward with it. So with that, is there any thoughts on the budget? Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, I just like to say I appreciate the DDA working with the city. I think it was a, difficult year, and everybody had to pitch in, and we had to figure out how to do this. And I also appreciate the budget committee's work. I think that budget looks as good as it can. So I will make a motion to support it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Is there support for the motion?
Second.
Support by Eric Diana, since it's the budget, and we are doing, we have to do all roll call votes, don't we, Madam Secretary?
Yes.
Okay, so your honor.
Paul Haig,
Yes.
Bob Bloomingdale,
Yes.
Tanya Karsten,
Yes.
Eric Diana,
Yes.
Tony LaPuma,
Oh, I think he's muted.
Yes.
Tony, you're mute. Oh, there you go.
Marilyn Trent,
Yes.
Mayor Bixon,
Yes.
Ben Giovanelli.
Yes.
Motion passed.
Fantastic. So that's one part I'm going to miss with Zoom meetings is seeing everybody at home kind of chill, and then people trying to talk when they're on mute. That's like my two things I'm going to miss the most from Zoom meetings. So the one thing I'm not going to miss is my kids running around the backyard and the dog barking. But other than that, it's all good. So thank you for that. So marching forward. So so if anybody's interested, Christy and I are on Monday at council. So if you want to join in the fun and frolicking, to come support your friends, taking the shots from the council. No, I'm kidding you. So but yeah, so it's Monday at 7 p.m. We're on. I'm not exactly sure when we're on the agenda. I haven't seen it yet, but feel free to shoot a note to Christy if you want to tag in and at least be part of the conversation, or show your support. We'd appreciate it. Madam Director, Main Street, Oakland County update.
Sure.
And
Sorry, I was
corporate
trying to shoot
responsibility, too.
dogs and children out of my room.
Yeah, see?
That's why you decided, no, I didn't call leading, go away. Anyway, hi. So as you can see, I was not successful with trying to get people to leave me. So, so Main-Street Oakland County had called a meeting last Friday for all of the Main-Street Oakland County communities with Deputy County Executive Sean Carlson. And he gave us an update on the stimulus dollars specifically related to DDAs and to businesses and downtowns. So what he had indicated was that the district study committees that they had that Nick and I participated in, where they gave grants to small businesses in downtown districts, they ranged anywhere from 2,500 to 10,000. They funded that program twice. There seems to be an appetite at the county to do a third potential round of those. So he said that we should be hearing more about that soon. The other thing that he talked about is there's quite a bit of discussion about giving monies to DDAs directly to do COVID relief types of things, whether it's events, whether it's infrastructure, PPE, what things that they might need. So they're trying to build those programs out. They asked all of us to answer a set of questions in advance of the meeting, talking about the monies that we have gotten from the county so far, what we've gotten and what we've done with those monies, to show them that we didn't just take the money and just put it in a bank, that we actually took it. In our case, we fundraised on top of it, we grew it, we did a lot of things with it. We were like the pebble in the pond. And I think a lot of other DDAs were the same. So they're trying to craft some programs like that. To answer Eric's question, they didn't specifically say about money to municipalities. What they did say is that they knew that there were monies carved out in the national to go to locals. So I don't know if they're planning to give anything directly to municipalities, but they seem very business focused. So they want to help do as much as they can to support businesses. And they think that DDAs are a good mechanism to do so, since that's sort of been the cadence as we've been going since April with everything with the county. So I'll keep everybody posted. They still weren't sure when the monies were actually going to land. I know in talking with Anthony, he thinks it's at least 90 days before we have money in hand in the city. So I would assume county's about the same. And knowing county, they come up with some great programs, but it takes them a little bit to get there because they have a lot more hoops to jump through than local municipalities. So I'll just keep everybody posted. Maybe we keep this as sort of like a monthly update, because we have weekly updates with the county, and then we have a monthly Zoom call with them as well.
Got it. I know, I'm wondering if it's going to be, actually, I know the answer to the question before I say it, but I'd like to try and figure out a way we can spread the word out to the business owners of what is in the new legislation that just passed. For restaurants in particular, I want to say there was $25 billion in there for, food industry. I would love to have, a lunch and learn, or no pun intended, or whatever, where, we're competing. Tanya's already waving her hand up there. So, but I think that would be important to get that word out. So
Sure. And it's funny that you say that. We were talking about this at business development this morning, and Tom Wiggins, who I don't know if everybody remembers Tom, he was a city council member over at Rochester Hills. He's been on business development since before that. We actually found Tom Wiggins first. He works with a financial advisor company as a partner in that, and he sent us an amazing deck that really breaks down the Stimulus Act and where it goes and what it goes to. We also have graphics that we were able to get from National Restaurant Association today. Tony had shared that link with me. So we're going to get a whole package out to the merchants from there. But I'm wondering, I might call Tom, see if he might be willing, like you said, to do like a lunch and learn over Zoom or something to kind of walk everybody through it. Because there's a lot of pieces to it, for sure.
And I was
Tanya,
on a meeting. I'm so sorry. I was on a meeting with some of our local representatives, and they were telling us that of those billions, I think 5 billion is going to Oakland County. I'm pretty sure that's what, or maybe that was Michigan. I'm so sorry. There was a lot of information, but yeah, I think it was Michigan. But they were very specific about what we were going to have to do. So there was a lot of information, but it's very promising for restaurants. And it opened it up to much more than just the rent or payroll. There was a lot of leeway there for us to be able to spend the way that we might need to in the upcoming months. So
one of the most interesting
what's that?
I was gonna say, one of the most interesting things is they're talking about basically gap funding, that they want to see sales pre-COVID to during COVID, and that they're willing to bridge the gap minus any PPP dollars that you might have received. So that was interesting So there's a lot of pieces to it.
Sure.
So,
Well, I think, one of our main role has been to get information out. So if that's through, biz dev or whatever, even if, if Tom would do it just because he's a great guy, and I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to do it. Mark used to, what do you call it? Voluntold. But no, I think
we've
Tom.
told Tom a lot. He knows.
Yeah, sure. I think Tom would certainly do it, but to the extent we have to get an outside person in, I'm even willing to throw a little, a few bucks at it. So I think it's that important to get that word out. So we'll follow your lead, but just kind of be thinking about that. At least that's where my head's at on it.
Yep, and I'll be checking with the county too. Now that we're getting the information, they may have a program that maybe they're going to take on the road for people, because there's a lot in the act that I think they
for sure
need some explanation.
Yeah, the audit part of it's going to be fun. I can't wait for that. It's going to be
Should be
bananas.
great. Mm-hmm.
Overall COVID response update, Nick and Christy.
So this was something we talked about at executive committee. We thought it might be time to sort of give an update on what's happening with the city in terms of us backfilling any vacancies, things like that. So I'm going to toss to Nick first to talk about stuff, and then I'll pick up from where he leaves off.
Yeah, so hi, everybody. So a couple of months ago, people are noticing, it seemed like a lot of for sales, for lease signs, etc. And I can tell you that I don't think it's a pattern around Michigan, from what I can see, around the United States, but somehow virtually every vacant space that we have is spoken for at this point. And it's not in the traditional way. So I'll just give you a couple of them. We just celebrated, like the mayor was at the and Ann, you guys were at the ribbon cutting, I think, for Maryland, you were for the Tide Cleaners on Pine Street by the police station. That's a 3-unit condominium, all sold. Office condominiums on the first floor is sold. Again, boots on the street to have people that are going to be close to living to downtown that can walk there. Dr. Tala is putting 26 apartments at the upper level and the lower level where Recipes is. So you can see they punched lower levels to put in egress windows and light, and that's going to be 52 people probably at least living right there, walking to town. The former Three Dog Bakery is now Le Macaron. A gentleman from GM that retired took his, as he said, his life savings and bought this franchise, and he's working on it crazy to get going. Lettuce took Detroit Deli. That seems like a huge thing. A lot of people wanted lettuce in their town. They're really successful, and they chose Rochester at the south end of town, partially because the clinic right next door brings in a lot of people, women, every day to this full service clinic that's in the Gateway Center that's totally being renovated right now. So Giorgio stayed, and Carrie Roop's gym moved around. So that's basically full and rocking. Liz and Armand at the Brunch House bought the church, former church. Now it's going to be called Saint 1881 European Coffee Shop and a speakeasy. They just talked to me today, and they're extremely excited about how it's coming out, and that's probably going to be ready late in the spring. We've got work. Actually, Kevin Stewart is brokering a deal on the second floor of Lytle's for a really cool concept of it's an office / private club kind of that people will take that whole space and spend a bunch of money upgrading it. They're going to redo all the windows on the outside in the historic fashion and put offices in that second floor solid. Same thing with the first floor of the Chemical Bank at the Cornell University in Maine. It looks like a group of lawyers and accountants, I believe, are going on that first floor. Scarborough Square's got some tax people going in there. Again, service industry folks in less than desirable corners. So bank was a bank. It's still going to be, a fiscal lead to it. Credit union, I'm sorry, not credit union, Genesis, right, Christina? Tom.
No, Chief Financial.
I'm sorry, I do that all the time. Chief Financial took the U.S. Scuba building, went through the Planning Commission, a substantial upgrade, put a branch in their headquarters, upgrade them down there. So they're busy working on that. The old Alvin Vinegar is a Michigan realtor. Mike Blake's a realtor. He's going next to Kevin Stewart's building. He's just about done renovating that building. Condos between Ferndale and Maine. There's, I believe, 12 condos. They're breaking ground next week. They're just waiting for one more permit from MDOT. And then that gentleman who owns that building is also renovating the front of the sports memorabilia store. The gentleman that runs that business bought the building from the Hugheses, and he's renovating that building that's going to the planning commission. So it's unbelievable that anything else vacant is pretty much spoken for now. So we have a couple of, maybe one that we're looking for, and we have people looking to relocate or expand. So amazingly, our vacancy rate still, it's not even 4%, it's 3.8% in the core of downtown. That's amazing. We're getting a lot of interest in redoing these second-story buildings above the sports memorabilia. We're putting one, what can I say, two? One or two?
It'd be one. He
Yeah,
originally.
he's trying to talk me to do an office, but
It's just
one condo or an office space up there. So we're seeing a lot of this going on. The DDA, obviously, you guys signed your lease. Now you've taken that off the market. So we're in a good place. Couple bits of news that I can say officially. The deal that was trying to take place on the elevator site. As of yesterday, Mr. Rewald was pursuing that for one stream. They could not make that deal. Bob, we talked about it this morning. It's $400 a square foot to build something right now. It makes no fiscal sense to do that. So that option for that property is up now. There is $1 million that Eagle gave us for cleanup on the grant. That stays with the city and the property. So if Mr. Lawrence sold the business to the guys that ran the inside, but he kept the property. He's still trying to find somebody to buy the property, and the elevator guys are cleaning it up. We're working with code enforcement, trying to make it a little more presentable. So lots going on. And then the mayor had said last week, Mr. Randazzo was approved earlier on apartments, and we hear he's going to come in and start moving some dirt to get rid of the bad dirt, not asking for a brownfield to get that project kickstarted. So, and lastly, not in the DDA district, but the Overlook, we just found out, same thing, the price per square foot is insane, and they're not going ahead with that project at this point over by the OPC. So their site plan will officially expire now because they're done off the record, they said, on the record. So some good news, some bad news, but again, those properties are there. Things pick up, construction costs get more reasonable. I'm sure Suave, Mr. Mosheri, all those guys will be back knocking on the doors, back at the planning commission, so we can evaluate the request.
If
I have a couple questions.
Oh, can I take on to his before there was a
Go
couple we missed? Detroit Tarot took at 331. They took the Simply the Best space, and they actually were an expansion out of the old library building over on Pine. They actually tripled their space to go there. And then we're also working with Final Touch Designs on University that they may be breaking through and taking the Martin Art Jewelers space. So we're working on that. So I thought it was interesting. We did have some businesses actually expand during this time as well. And then I want to circle back to some of the other retention stuff we've been doing, but I'll defer for questions, then I can circle back.
Paul?
Okay, you had said that lettuce has been opened by the end of the month. La Macaroon, when might they open?
I'm going to say he's probably a couple months out. He got his permits and everything. It's not a tough build out. It's more cosmetic. It's big. They don't bake them there. They bring them in frozen. And that's how that whole product works. So it's big coolers going in. So I'm suspecting it won't take him that long. I think he told us what, Chrissy, by the end of May, beginning of June.
He was hoping even sooner. I know that
Yeah.
he was signed off on his sign permit last week, so that's good to go. And then he submitted information for the magazine for new neighbors, and that's hitting homes next month. So he's optimistic that he's going to be open soon.
Paul?
I just want to say that everybody should go to the tarot place just to look at it. It's very intriguing, very interesting, and there's a lot more than you might think that they're offering.
And the guy that was really intense that I work with, he seems pretty cool. So
he's got 3 or 4 gigs going at once.
yeah.
There's a lot happening.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Hey,
Yeah,
Nick.
now I gotta go.
Yeah.
Mayor.
Yeah, quick question for Nick. I guess I was under the impression that we were going to lose that money from Eagle if that project didn't go. Is that
No,
not true?
no. So I confirmed that yesterday with Michelle Bakun because this literally just came up yesterday, and
Okay.
I called her and said, "So what's the status?" She said, "So it would be, it's not a guaranteed staying with the city. What would have to happen is we'd have to, another developer comes in and says, this is my model. And then the city's got to back that model. And then we'd ask Eagle. She said the money, it'll stay there as long as it's available. But it was based on the fact that that was an office building with up to 500 people in it. So if a guy came in and said, I'm going to tear it down and make a bark park out of it, they're not probably going to give us the money. But it doesn't officially go away. It's still the city's money. But if somebody doesn't come in and ask for a business plan to back it, it will go away pretty quick.
Thank you. And then I was just going to say, actually, our smaller downtown is actually thriving, where I think a lot of these big box stores and stuff that a lot of other communities have are really hurting, like, Best Buy's closing and things like that. So, I think we're really fortunate to be where we are.
Yeah, it's funny. We were talking about that earlier, that being a boutique town now is working to our advantage.
Right.
It really is.
Because I remember
love local,
Yeah, because I remember back, Christy would remember, because Christy's been around longer than I have here, but we looked at bringing big box stores into town. I mean, we actually thought about that.
Yeah.
And it never happened, and now it's probably just as well.
I can't tell you how many developers call and say, where's all the big national chains? And I just smile and say, our model works.
Yeah. And I think something that we did differently, we were talking about this on the county call with Sean Carlson when he was asking for best practices. I talked about how we really went into business retention mode right away. We really focused on what can we do to support the businesses, trying, teaching them to fish, doing a lot of different things. And we've continued that. And I think that's paying dividends too. And it's a lot easier for, like you were saying, Mayor, the small businesses, because they don't have to call the corporate office to get permission to do certain things. They're a single family operation. They can make their decisions very quickly and pivot and do what they need to do. One of the new things that we've been doing that I wanted to give an update on with this line item as well was the Oakland County office hours at the studio. They ended up seeing 16 different businesses giving advice on marketing, on customer acquisition, on financing, grants, all those kinds of things. They were really very impressed with the state of our businesses. They were surprised. They thought people would be coming in very sad, looking for money, finance, anything. And that wasn't the case at all. They're talking about expansions. They're talking about looking for new product lines, customer acquisition, things like that. And they were so happy with the program that we built out here that they're going to take it to other downtowns in Oakland County, which we're pretty proud of.
Yeah.
And we're hoping now they're working with those 16 businesses. Once some of those start cycling through, then I think we're going to bring them back for April to start doing some more. So I just got to give them a little time to work with those.
So really,
go ahead, sorry, Mayor.
Well, I was just gonna say, large square footage, either retail or office, is out of vogue right now. So actually, I'd like to say we knew that all was coming and we planned for it, but well, hey,
Bob and Ann can
say it anyway, right?
Yeah, Bob and Ann can back me on this, and the outfall of this, and we talked about it pretty voraciously. Is that the right word, Paul? Today, about the impact of this town not going in the tank. Go try to buy a house right now. Bobby, 800 grand, 900 in the west side. They've jumped up. Can't find one if you can. People are overpaying. You got 2 new ones came in today. So the confidence in our community being stable is high right now.
Can I sell my house for $400?
That would be the time, Mayor. If you're ever going to sell it, go for it, man.
Can I get $400 a square foot is what I want to know.
I would hang on just a bit, Mayor. I mean, but one of our clients just put his house up.
Hey, Nick.
3 offers.
You're cutting out, Bob.
So I was saying one of our new build clients from a couple of years ago just put his house up for sale on Great Street, and he had 3 offers over asking within 24 hours. So the market is hot. Rochester is a very desirable community, as we all know.
Tony?
Hey, Nick, this is Don.
Oh, hi.
Is there, and maybe I missed it or I just didn't recognize the discussion, but the building on the northeast corner of the bridge on Main Street, that's where the cleaners is and your garage repair, auto repair there?
Yep.
Is there any discussions about the building, a new building in that area?
the discussion is the owner's crazy, and we call him all the time and go, James, sell the building. I'm good. Mayor knows, you went to the planning commission how many times, Mayor? 3 times? 6 stories, 5 stories, 4 stories. We're like, how about 3 stories? And he has not come back. So we've been working with him. He's very stubborn and doesn't need the money.
Yeah. That was quite a 6-story building, I will give
It
him
was.
that.
It was the Royal Park Hotel, right, on Main Street.
Yeah.
With a lot of props to hold it up off the side of the cliff there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that too.
Yikes. Okay, anything else, Madam Director?
No, I'm good.
All right, very good. All right, so that gets through the general business agenda. Receipt of regular reports, executive director update.
I just wanted to highlight the Rochester Small Business Program. You may recall that that was something that we had been doing previously with a Shark Tank model, and then they had adapted it where we were able to get the grant funds through Genesis, through Oakland County, that we were funding the small businesses, that we did the pop-ups at the fire department during the holidays. And then they were going to be doing that again in the spring. And then of course, life happened. And so we weren't doing that. So we're getting back on track. We're doing we did the introductory meeting on Zoom with Rochester High School last week with about 30 kids. And that's going to be translating into, at least for this semester, a Shark Tank model, because that's a little bit more feasible since we can't really pull off the in-person things. But the intent is in the fall to get back to the model that we had established over a year ago. And I'd also like to mention that every one of the guys in that class wants to be in business with Nick. They just thought he was the coolest guy ever.
Well, no, it's what's funny. You guys would love this. It's the best one was this kid comes in, and I'm supposed to be like Mr. Wonderful, like kind of mean. So it's like, kids like, here's my model. I got these 2 cookies I'm going to sell. And we're like, 2 varieties. Yeah. And you think you can make enough money to feed your family and stuff with 2 different varieties? I'm working on a 3rd. So we kind of gave him some advice, and some of them are hilarious, but some of them are very well thought out. And brightens up your day. That was a day well worth spent.
Too funny.
So just wanted to mention, we're continuing that Rochester High School partnership that we've been building for the last couple of years and had to get put on hold. We're back.
Good. That's great. Yeah, they're ready for it too. So glad we're participating. Events and marketing.
So the reports are in your packet, but we are still registering people for deck art. We have almost 400 decks that have gone out there, because there's people that last year had gotten decks and then chose not to turn them back in. And so they're coming back. So we're going to have an inordinate amount of decks coming forward this year, which is pretty exciting for us. I think see if Jenna put a number on here, but we've got a lot of decks coming. So that's going to be great. And we finished the In-Town magazine photo shoot last week, and that's going to be in homes in mid-April. So we're excited. We're just
fantastic.
Moving forward like things are normal. That's what we do.
Asterisks.
Asterisks.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that update. Financial report is in your packet. If there's any questions, feel free to reach out to either myself or the director. We're happy to get you the information that you require. Fiscal is up on June 30th, so we still have the end of the quarter is March 31st, and we're in our last home stretch for the current year budget. Business development.
I think we're all excited about the new openings in town. And I think we're all excited about how many feet are going to be on the pavements, because it's definitely going faster and faster. I got to say that I'm actually using the Oakland County too. My business has increased by 50% this year over last year. So I'm definitely going through some transitions. The dining program, Christy, you want to handle that? Because that's great that we have the igloos and everything else. Let's talk about that.
Sure. So we talked to business development today from the restaurant relief grant program that we worked with the county, that we're able to get $68,000 worth of goods and services, and also monies to purchase items for the merchants that they had requested. So we're in the process of distributing greenhouses, igloos, and propane to all the businesses that had asked for them. So we still have another pickup round to do over at the fire department. Our friends at the fire hall have been very kind to lend me Bay 5 temporarily so I can have all of our items in there and then people come and pick them up. So the restaurants have been very appreciative of that. So we're working with them on that. And then we've already been reaching out to restaurants, let them know that the outdoor platform program is going to be coming back. So they're starting to make plans because as you remember last year, furniture was hard to come by. So a lot of people did some makeshift things. I wanted to make sure they had adequate notice if they wanted to spruce up the items that they were able to put out there, that they would do so. So we're working on that as well, but we're still working hard with the restaurants because we know that they did take a significant hit. So we're still trying to find all the resources that we can for them.
I got a feeling, I happen to personally, sounds kind of hoity, but we have an igloo in our backyard, and that starting now, it's pretty tough to sit in there. As soon as that sun hits it, it's tough. So I don't know. Maybe they won't put them up. Maybe they're gonna have to stash them till later because those things get really warm really fast. So, they might only get a couple weeks out of them. They only take 8 hours to put together. Or in my case, 43 days. That's another story. That's so easy. Second time's easier, but
yeah, one of the other things we're finding out as we're speaking with the restaurants is they have said that they are doing a lot of things that they never thought they would do before, and they think that there is an appetite maybe for some dining in the cooler months. I don't know if they're going to be doing the dead of winter, but maybe in the fall, some different things. So we may see these reemerging again, that these are becoming part of regular business for the restaurants because, expanded dining, that helps them because restaurants are still at 50% right now. So we got to get them going.
All right, the next thing is very interesting, and it's a new discussion about a new promotion sponsor, and it's the Masons. And what was it they want to give $750 a month?
$850 a month. This is actually Marilyn, if you want to weigh in on this. Marilyn was the connector to make this happen. So the Masons had approached Marilyn about wanting to get more involved in town, so she connected them with me. And so Marilyn, Jenna, and I, and a couple members of the Masons had a conference call last week. They've already approved, they want to get more involved in the community, support the businesses specifically, that they've allocated $850 per month for 5 months for a total of $4,250 to come to the DDA to create some type of promotions for the small businesses in downtown. Their motivation is primarily that they want to support the community, but they feel like they really aren't out there, that people don't know who they are, what they do. So I threw it out at business development today to get some ideas, and then we're taking it to promotions committee at the end of the month as well to start generating some more ideas of ways that we might be able to engage with them, create some promotions that meet our mutual goals, support the businesses, and maybe foster a long-term relationship for some future projects that we could work on together. So
all right, that was an
that's
exciting discussion. And
yes.
I do want to say that maybe we should get back to the 90 members of the Masons and ask them what they think and how they think they could interact with the community.
We did that. That was our call. So
that was the call. Yeah, that was the call. We had a really good call. There was a lot of brainstorming, and they were excited of the ideas that we were batting around, just kind of high level spitballing. But they were going to go back to their group and discuss it. And then Christy said she and her promotions team, or just she and Jenna, or whatever they do, whoever and whatever, we're going to take some of the ideas that we had discussed of how to integrate basically who they were, kind of create awareness of the Freemasons, because nobody knows who they are. They may have seen that building and they may have seen it so many times, it just, they don't even recognize it, because nothing really is going on there. So they had a lot of, they really do want to do more in the community. And especially now, because of what they saw as a little bit volatile times at various levels, either economically or otherwise. So they wanted to, be part of the community, and they have some funds. They talked about their connection to the Fords, which I didn't realize that the Fords were part of this group. The Corinthians, 214 Corinthians, I believe, is what their
I think
chapter is.
I believe, yes.
Yeah. So, few thousand years old.
Yep. We found out Nick's dad was a Mason, isn't that right, Nick?
That is right. I have his Grand Poobah thing that sometimes I wear, but I can't tell you.
My grandpa
Yeah.
was, I've got his ring, so I know it's.
Yep, I have my dad's ring too.
Yeah. So
And I
anyway,
have a lot of rings in my office I can sell.
I'm sure, yes, of that
And they-
we are all certain.
well, there you
No,
go. They
that's-
came with money. They came
That's
with
right.
money and
So-
frankincense and myrrh.
No, that's so we're grateful for all the support of everybody in the community, and as my dear colleague back in the day, Dave Becker, said, we're always blessed with an overabundance of riches in this community, and this is just yet another example of it. So we're grateful for the support, and it feels like more. This is probably more a interaction between the PSD and the Masons with respect to sort of fundraising and doing events. So I don't know which direction you were thinking, but that's at least my cursory feel
Yeah,
of it is.
I threw it by business development to see if there's anything that they could immediately.
Yeah.
Because everybody on there's a business owner, so I thought maybe they might have some ideas of things they'd like to see, but it's going to promotions committee the last Tuesday of the month when they meet.
Yeah,
Perfect.
they talked about
Yep.
some historical. You took the notes, right, Christy? They
I've
had
got the
some
notes. Yep, I've already started.
the historical
stuff.
things that they were responding well to, and they really like the kind of telling their story as well. Yeah, 'cause they're excited. They're younger ones. They're not oldsters.
Yeah, no, they're actually, it's a great group of guys and,
Yeah,
and gals,
it's a great
and
class.
grateful for their support. So we'll absolutely take it.
All right.
The budget is never completely done, and anytime we have extra money coming in from people that want to help us out, we will most certainly take that and spend it wisely. So very much appreciated. Is any other comment with respect to biz dev?
Nope.
Good deal. Thank you. Site development. Anything cooking there?
Well, besides the 225,000 we're spending on the light poles, things are kind of quiet for the site committee now.
Got it.
Not much going on.
Got it. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but sort of is what it is. We will get back there. I promise you. This is there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not another train coming. At least I don't think so. Asterisk. So
And we're getting close, I think.
I think so too. All right. With that, only question I had, Christy, is we were talking about the different leases in town. Or did we ever whatever happened with our lease on the old space, or are we just going to let it exhaust out? And
So Nick was trying hard. We had a couple leads that we had sent to Jim to see if they could negotiate something. Nothing was able to go through. So our lease there expires at the end of May. We're in the process of moving everything out. We already got the big bright light show wiring all moved and set up. We just finally got desks. We all have desks for the first time in a year, which is great. So the next hurdle is moving the sound system down there because we have to move the antenna because that's on top of Holland's right now. So we got to figure that goodie out, but I have a few ideas. I might have to talk to Mr. Haig. I might need to broker a deal with him to put an antenna on his roof. So
well,
That could be possible. No problem.
With the Christmas decoration, you could make it like a unicorn's horn.
That's right.
Oh, believe me, there are lots of things we could make it.
Right. That's hilarious.
So, yep. So we're in the process of moving out, cleaning out, all of that stuff. So we'll be out of there, but he hasn't had many bites. I think he's going to have to break it back up into 2 suites like it originally was because we don't get a lot of people looking for that big of a space. So we'll see.
Yeah, and so to the earlier point, it's kind of hard right now, especially with people sort of transitioning out. And I'm really grateful that Chemical Bank got a law firm, accounting firm is going to be great. It's going to put bodies downtown, which is excellent. All right, I don't have anything else for that is not left. Is there any other miscellaneous comment or any other parting words of wisdom from the group? Okay, seeing none, remember that next month's meeting, tell a friend, is going to be at City Hall. We don't quite know how it's going to go yet, but we know that we will not be doing this. So you'll have to all take showers and take your PJs off and wear your regular clothes and come to City Hall and do it the old school way. So it'll be fun. Actually, I can't wait to see you guys. It'll be nice to see everybody, even though we're masked up or whatever the rules are. It'll just be nice to have some fellow humans to commiserate with. So with that, meeting adjourned.
Yeah, everybody.
Hey.
Good
everybody.
evening.
Hi,
Thanks
guys.
a lot.